Casey, I'm out of here. I'm going to wait for it.
Hook, Line, and Thinker with DJ D Phoenix on Neo Retro FM, so tune into that. Peace.
Oh, look. Okay, let me ask. Have you ever seen a UFO?
I thought that I had.
It's
Okay.
the Waybill. Okay. Now, I'm not talking under the influence, though.
No. It was when I was really a kid. We used to go. I never forget it. I probably was, I don't know, maybe 12. Okay. We used to go fishing. My dad and my brother and I used to go to lakes outside of Scottsdale. There's a bunch of lakes: Saguaro Lake, Apache Lake, Roosevelt Lake, and we used to go to these lakes to go fishing. Okay. And and we would sleep outside. One night we're at one of the lakes. I can't remember which one. And me and my brother are in our sleeping bags, and it's night, and I see these kind of lights moving lights moving around, not like an airplane that's just going across the horizon, but no, that's turning back and back around and doing all these crazy things. And I don't know what it was. I still can't explain it. I don't know what it was.
Really? Like how far above you would you say it was?
Oh no, way high, like up in
the atmosphere then.
Up in the atmosphere, yeah. Wow. Moving back and forth in strange motions where it's not a star, it's not an airplane, it's not, it's going in circles. And I'm telling my brother, Billy, look at that. What the heck is, and he's going, I don't know. We never did, I don't know. I don't know what it was.
But you didn't wake Dad up and ask him to take a look?
No.
Wow, interesting. And the reason why I asked is because
I am wondering if in all your travels, whether it was while you were traveling or at home or whatever, have you ever had any time when you've like seen something in the air or something unusual that you couldn't explain at all? Ever any?
No,
you're one of the lucky ones.
No, and it is something to be looking out for, but no.
Okay, what's your take on that though? Because it's a little bit more front and center these days than it ever used to be.
Yeah, I mean, the size of the universe is phenomenal. So I would like to think there's some other beings out there apart from us.
Right.
I would hope so.
Have you been watching or following any of the 3-Eye Atlas that's been happening? The comet?
Just a little bit, yeah. I'm not sure how real that is.
There's a lot of TikTok. There's a lot of future directors out there and filmmakers on TikTok alone. And yeah, I'm not sure either. And, one thing about being online, it's 50-50 as to the legitimacy of anything. So
especially
really
with how good AI is these days, the way you can doctor stuff is
scary. Yeah. We played around with it just a little bit. And when you can put it into a program, and if it was just say like a still picture of you and I, and you can get us to talk to each other and interact with each other just off of a picture alone, that's scary stuff.
Jesus, okay.
Yeah. As far as the 3-Eye Atlas thing goes, so yeah, it depends on, I don't know that I trust NASA. And as time goes on, I'm finding that I trust less and less when it comes to like different institutions and stuff like that anyway, because we're not really sure how much of it was even like true as far as what we were taught or what we were told as we were growing up. So
yeah.
But that's a whole nother story and probably a whole nother show. But yeah, pictures that are coming back, this thing has supposedly gone around the sun already and is on its way back. And according to something I just saw online here a little bit ago this morning, it looks completely different.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. It depends on what source you watch, but they're saying that by the end of the month, there is supposed to be not an invasion, but an appearance.
Okay.
And it's like, I don't know. I don't know if you ever saw Independence Day, and I don't know
Oh,
what
yeah,
you know.
I did.
Okay, okay. I'm Virgo. I'm waiting for the clouds to roll back and the big mothership to like come in over the city, and I don't know how I feel about it, but I
Yeah,
don't
I don't
like the
know.
fact.
I'd be more hopeful that they'd be friendly and kind of give us information and say, you know, why are you fighting all these wars with each other when you have a beautiful planet? That's what you'd be focusing on, is making that better for everyone. You know, so
Exactly.
that's where my hope lies.
Exactly. Were there any things growing up, like when it came to like, you know, the tales that like your grandparents or maybe your parents would tell you, you know, don't go out in the woods because, you know, the whether it was, you know, the wee folk or whatever was out there. Anything that like, well, okay, now this is coming, you know,
Yeah,
totally from my
Banshee. The Banshee was the kind of the folklore of our
okay,
time, and Halloween is an Irish tradition, a pagan
right,
holiday. It started here, and it was more you get dressed up to scare away the demons or whatever, you know. But
right.
yeah, the wailing banshee would have been the kind of scare story back when we were kids.
Okay. So not Susie Sue, of course, but you know, the actual banshee. And
Yes, yeah,
it's
yeah.
funny how many, because I mean, you hear over here, you hear about banshees, but you don't really ever see a lot of or much of them covered at all, like, or at least I haven't run across that much yet. So, anyway, so well, phenomenon, cryptozoological kind of things. If it was weird and funky, we talked about it basically.
Wow.
So I want to ask because I would imagine that Ian and probably all your travels. I mean, obviously you've traveled in a lot of places around the world more than the rest of us. Has there ever been a time when you've looked up in the sky or ever been, you know, somewhere and you've seen something, whether it's in the air or whatever, that you couldn't quite explain?
Well, there was a
That's a
time.
yeah, I know that's a broad question.
There's a good story. So, we were on the bus traveling from Montreal to Chicago the day that we discovered that Unbelievable went to number one.
Okay.
Well, it was the night we played a show and we were doing the drive, and of course we had a party, right? And we had a big party, and um, and you know, everyone was a little bit worse for wear, and I looked out of the window and I saw these lights in the sky, like, and you know, they were like, was it the aurora borealis, or was there something else outside there in the sky? And you know, and I always wondered about this, and that night, and when after our second album, we wrote this song called "They're Here,"
Oh,
which was sort of about this sense that there's something out there and maybe
okay.
not. And I was telling this story recently, and James was there, and James said to me, "Ian, there were no lights in the sky. There was nothing out there." I think you just maybe celebrated a little too much.
Yeah, maybe you were a little bit even more worse for wear. Oh my God.
Very, very, very worse for wear. But hey, I got a song out of it, so
Hey, no doubt,
it's
no
all
doubt. And
good.
now that you bring that up, I'm gonna have to go back and check, and I'll have to take a listen to it if I haven't heard it already. So
Have a listen to "They're Here" from the Stigma album, from our
they're
second
here.
album,
Okay, okay,
and
yes, I will definitely check it out.
yeah.
Okay, well, cool. You know, it's amazing too, like geographically, not even just regionally, but geographically, especially when you're talking the difference between one continent to another, how many differences there are in like the culture, you know, the folklore, the even the events that happen on Earth. And it's a big weird world out there, and you know, it's like there's strange stuff happening all the time. Have you heard anything about this three-eye atlas at all?
No.
The comet that is coming through the solar.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, yes.
okay. Now, depending on what your source is that you're getting your news, this thing has changed course that obviously a normal comet wouldn't do. They're showing anti-gravitational like effects, and there's talk that maybe we are about ready to be visited.
Wow.
Now,
Now,
it,
wouldn't
like
that
us,
be?
Ian, I'm telling you, it depends. Like I said, it depends too on your source. But what is your take on that? Did you see Independence Day by any chance?
Yes,
Okay.
of course.
Okay, so this is what I keep visualizing, that we're all about doing our daily stuff, and the clouds roll back, and this big mothership shows up above your town or above your city, and that happens all over the world. What is your take on that? Because it's like if there's any truth to this, and this is like right at our doorstep, then this is going to be something that totally changes mankind, from here on.
Well, you know what? I hope so. Wouldn't that be a wonderful thing? Wouldn't that be
As long as they don't
just
use laser beams.
exactly?
Right.
Just as long as they like good like our song "Reach for the Lasers." We wrote a song called "Reach for the Lasers," which is about really wonderful lasers. If
Okay.
they've got great lights, then great. I like that. Give us a nice light show, and some good. And there's some good tunes, aren't there? There's some good like
yeah,
the Close Encounters of a Third Kind. I love that.
exactly. But they
Right?
were kind aliens. They
Yeah.
just kind of walked around like that, and they took the little kid back to the ship and all that, and brought the other ones home. They were just kind of cute, and
Can we have those aliens and with the good lights and the really good tunes and like come and we'll all go raving and
why not?
that's not the Independence Day ones. Those are just
That was a bit much. Okay, cool. Well, and there's never a wrong answer or a right answer on that. I've gotten some amazing stories from special guests over the years, and so it's always one of the things I like to ask people.
it's a fun question.
Well, it is, and it's not one that you're normally going to probably get asked, or through the course of an interview. So
You're right.
Yeah, no doubt. So
my dad fully believes that. He loves all that stuff, that Bob Lazar stuff, and I'm into it. I like it. What I don't understand about aliens and the crafts and all that stuff is, to me, right, like, if they have the technology to travel here from like these distant galaxies, and they have the technology to make vehicles that can do right angle turns at the speed of light, and they have the technology to, like basically just, like zoom off at the speed of light, like, how come then they're crashing, or why are they letting us sort of see, why are they acting all kind of like hokey pokey and like sort of like, oh, and like, you know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. Like, to my brain, it's like, if you're so clever, why are you crashing? You know what I mean? Why are you letting yourself? Don't you have a cloaking device? Don't you? I guess you could argue that they don't care, but they don't care about us seeing them. But then, if that's the case, why not just land and come and talk to us?
right,
You know what I mean? Like,
right,
there's too many.
right,
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
there's too many inconsistencies in the whole thing, and there's not enough people that I know personally. I've never spoken to someone who's actually seen it, and I've never seen one with my own eyes. So again, I'm agnostic, but none of these things don't add up. To me, what makes more sense about these vehicles doing these crazy things and people saying they've seen them is, I believe personally that it would be a lot easier for the government to invest a lot of money into hologram technology and basically have holograms shooting around, sort of like laser pointers. We're just cats trying to catch these laser beams, right? And trying to see them, but actually it's just light. And then the actual ships that they've dug up, that they found, they're probably, I believe they could easily be from like a past civilization, from like before the Younger Dryas, before the world basically had that huge flood.
Just like you.
Well, I mean, okay, my buddy on the East Coast, North Carolina, calls me at about
5 minutes after I talked to you, and I was like, yep. And as fast as I could get off the phone, it wasn't quick enough. But I sent you 2 or 3 things
Good.
to your messenger.
Great, which I can't retrieve.
Oh, you can't. So that was smart of me.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
Maybe
You want me to draw a picture of him?
yeah, would you? That'd be awesome. And actually, do you have a lot of paper? Oh, perfect. So can you do this? Do you know how to make like stop motion drawings?
Absolutely. Here's a polar bear in a snowstorm.
Oh, okay. Let me see.
Short film. Oh, you want to see it? Ready?
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Here goes.
Before we totally run out of time, though, I've got one really goofy question. Not like some of my other ones may not have been, but I've got one really goofy question for you that hopefully you'll entertain me long enough to give me an answer. We do this podcast, and on this podcast, actually we go over a bunch of really kind of wild, offbeat, fringe topics. So to cut to the chase, Robin, tell me, in all your travels, in all your time wherever you've been, has there ever been a time where you've looked up at the sky or whatever, or had some kind of experience with something you couldn't quite explain? You know, that could go either way.
There's something I couldn't explain. I couldn't explain my children. That was quite hard.
You know, that's a completely different.
I have children, but when my wife was pregnant with my first child, and everyone was going, "This is amazing, this is amazing." I was just like going, "This is horrible. There's no back door."
There is, but it's going to cost you if you run through it. You know.
Oh, no, that quite. Something I couldn't explain.
Any kind of like aerial phenomenon, anything like that?
Okay, aerial phenomenon. No, I haven't seen any aerial phenomenon like that.
Okay, other than probably what you maybe caught online or something like that, I suppose.
Yeah,
okay.
That's
because we were inundated here on the East Coast here not that long ago with a bunch of like drones or that kind of thing. And that's actually what the podcast we cover everything from government cover-ups and projects to UFOs, cryptids.
Okay.
And I actually have never really studied to see like what kind of any kind of weird stuff like that there might be back in Spain, but I'm sure there's probably something kind of funky out back there.
There's quite a like mainstream program on it on one of the channels, like once a week. Yeah. There is a lot of interest in it over here. I just haven't got. So I'm sorry.
And not a problem, because just like there's no right answer or wrong answer. It's all a matter of, perspective. And, if a person's ever had an experience, sometimes they want to talk about it. Sometimes they don't. A lot of people if they don't see it in front of them, they don't believe it's true. So,
I'm happy to believe it's true. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
I'm happy to believe anything. I can smell a fraud 100 miles away. But when something's real in front of you, there's plenty of things like that.
Right.
People who can communicate with things and all the rest of it. And when it's real, it's real. I don't necessarily understand it. But I do.
Exactly. And I think, and that's kind of why we meet, because none of us have any clues to what's going on or to what it really is. So it's kind of good to hear other people's opinions and input and all that. Because then it won't be that long, and I'll get that little box popping up. So once again, Cab, and not that we're getting that close to the end, but thank you very much for putting time aside again today. We totally appreciate this. So just so you know, Stormy, would you like to tell Cab real quick about the podcast that we've got? Because we're going to go that direction. I've got a couple of questions to ask him, but we do this podcast, and Stormy's one of our panelists on it. You want to give them an idea of what it is?
Sure. So it's called Hook, Line, and Thinker, right? And it's a very fun thing that we do. And our content is pretty much anything weird.
Fringe.
Cryptids, UFOs, like the paranormal is, you know, what's with the methane bubbles in this lake? What's going on here? I don't think we've ever done methane bubbles, but you get the drift, right?
Yeah.
We have gone on like excursions. We've gone out to the woods to look for Sasquatch or any signs thereof.
With a K.
With a K. Yeah.
Right. Okay, cool. So the reason why I want to kind of steer us down another course here momentarily is because we also do a podcast through the group that we're associated with, and it's called Hook, Line, and Thinker. Kind of came out of nowhere back in 2020 because of an interview that I had with an artist named Dub Effect out of Australia, and it has morphed into a 4-year-long venture down the rabbit hole. If you can kind of get my meaning on that.
Yeah.
We basically talk about we go way down the rabbit hole and then find all these other offshoot areas to go into. Basically, we cover everything from like your government projects to your government cover-ups to fringe subjects like unidentified aerial phenomenon or unidentified flying objects, to cryptozoological things. So everything that's on the peripheral of normal conversation and normal ways of thinking or thoughts. So with that being said, and I want to go one by one with you guys on this because each one of you guys will probably either have an individual answer or an attitude about it, which is fine either way. But let's start off with, actually, Al, I want to start off with you. Has there ever been a time first of all, let's go with this. Has there ever been a time in your life at any given point where you've either been looking at the sky or had any kind of encounter experience with anything that you couldn't quite explain out there?
No, I don't think I have. But I'm always interested and I'm always very open-minded about it. I mean, I was an amateur astronomer for when I was like 7 years old or something like that. I went very kind of deeply into that. So, of course, anyone that's an astronomer goes, hang on, how many billion stars and planetary systems out there? We're delusional if we think we are the only people in the universe. That's delusional. You know, you know that life will exist wherever it possibly can, you know, in the most hostile parts of the environment. Just stands to reason find a way to go. We just haven't found them yet. Or maybe some people have. I haven't.
Well, if you've been watching the news at all, it looks like the East Coast of the United States has definitely found something.
Right.
With all the buzzing that's been happening in their skies back there, it's kind of trippy. Okay, Al, great answer. And then John, have you ever in your lifetime ever had anything that just didn't equate right? Or
calculate? You know, I'm going to really disappoint you now and say, please no, I'm a complete skeptic when it comes to things like that. And I just cannot get my head around anything. It doesn't feel massively real to me. And I'm really disappointed in a way because my wife is the opposite. And she's seen things and her father said he saw a UFO once and that there were other sightings of that particular thing, but I still can't get myself to believe it. And it's a real shame.
Okay. Well, you never know. Maybe today will be the day that you show up.
Something will happen tonight, I'm sure.
Watch. And if it does, you got to let us know because then,
I will.
Okay. Well, hey, good. And there's no right or wrong answer in any of this. With that being said, James, what about you, my friend? Have you ever had any experiences or what is your belief system on that kind of thing?
Yeah. No, haven't had any experiences. I like to keep an open mind, but I'm very much in the sort of scientific, rational sort of area of understanding this kind of stuff. And it strikes me that the universe is just so vast beyond all imagining, that the distances are just so vast that it seems to me that it's just highly improbable that even if there was a civilization, you know, in a nearby galaxy, that distance would just be so immense that they probably just, you know, haven't got round to getting to us. And also they may not find us that interesting anyway. We might seem very sort of like like we look at a sort of a group of ants or something. We think, well,
right.
We're just not interesting enough, maybe. But one day it might happen. Right? You don't know, and if it does, then I want to keep an open mind, and just go along with all the best.
One of the samples was a hybrid. What was it a hybrid of? What
Okay, here we go.
Samples was a hybrid. What was it a hybrid of? What did it look like? It's a human form, and it's fishy. They're very tall. We refer to them as the aquabarians. So we're mixing all sorts of DNA with human DNA, including plant DNA.
My favorite part, stop. Okay, my favorite part is when he says they're fishy.
Yeah.
What kind of 7-foot fishy people? So, Triple T, it's been a while.
Like mermaids.
It's been a while since you've been on with us. Do you call bull or do you think it's legit?
I think it's legit because mermaids was created from a vision. I feel like somebody seen something and created something, right?
Okay.
So it's the same thing like this guy was talking about, There's people that are, there's things that are out there that are like humans, but they can adapt. Like he said, he has plant DNA and, fish DNA mixed with human DNA. So you just think of it,
Dude, that's
I'm a motherfucking human that can go in the water, come out of the water, probably blend in like a chameleon to the trees, you know what I'm saying? So I could see that.
If it were a movie and you could, the director yells cut at the end and nobody dies or anything, that would be one thing. But I mean, you're talking about like things that are just out there. We don't know if they're friendly or carnivorous or whatever.
Well, they're smart enough to stay away from humans. That's the main thing. They're smart enough to stay away from humans. They come out probably more at night, when humans ain't really out there.
Right.
The sea is deep, dude.
Because, I live in Washington, so there's plenty of areas by the water that's secluded, more of the woods that, that they can live and go right back into the water.
Ted and Jen, I'm just like so stoked because it's like, this is where, I've actually been getting chills during our conversation.
Wow, really?
Yeah, so, there again, thank you very much.
Oh.
Oh my God, D.
Exciting stuff. Oh, you know what? Actually, before we get too far off the subject, because I'm now going to take us on another subject, I want to let you guys know we have this ongoing podcast that I began with Dub Effects, a recording artist out of Australia, about 4.5 years ago when I interviewed him. Cool. His original interview with me was, we kept going to like fringe topics like GMOs and government cover-ups and projects and the elite, just kind of weird peripheral fringe things. And once he took off, I've continued to carry the ball and run with this puppy.
It turned into a whole thing.
Right. So it's still going, but I want to ask you both a couple of questions because I can. So let's go one by one. First of all, Jen, I want to start with you. Has there ever been a time in your life, in all your travels and, in your life, where you've looked up and seen something that you can't quite explain?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Would you share it with us?
Gosh, it was a long time ago. It was, I think I was on tour and I still lived in Seattle, of course. I was probably in my 20s. Who was I on tour with? I can't remember who I was on tour with.
What a hard thing to say.
Do you remember where you were playing?
No, I don't. I don't know if I was on a solo tour, if I was on tour with Aveo, this band on Barsook Records. Okay. But we were driving into LA and the sky, like out of nowhere, there were these crazy flashes of colors. It was kind of like almost like aurora lights.
Really?
Yeah, like greens, bright greens. And we were like, what the F is this? Never found out. Never found out.
What time of year? Do you remember what time of year it would have been?
So long ago. Oh my God. I mean, I literally vaguely, I can't even barely like access like all that full memory because I can't remember who I was with, but I remember seeing it and looking up. And then we kind of like, I think we maybe figured out what it was, or we thought we figured out. We were like trying to figure out what it was, but it was definitely like, it was in the moment, like, what is this? Like legit, like what's going on in the atmosphere? It was very
Magnetism
strange,
from all their
very
moons, and everything is could possibly create a pole shift here, if not an ample storms and earthquakes. And yeah, there goes there's your revised American map.
Yeah, and check this out. Like it was last week, or possibly the week. It was last week. They had the East Coast was having a hellacious storm, lightning storm, big time storm. It lasted for a long time, right?
Right.
In an hour, 1 hour, 16,000 lightning strikes from wherever it hit the coast, which was right up below Maine or somewhere, and it come down and swooped into Texas like this, kind of like whoop, right?
Whoa.
That was the path. That was the path that it took. The lightning strikes, 16,000 of them on that one strip, right?
Yep.
Same exact path, right down to the increment that the eclipse is going to take.
And then check this out. All of the phenomenon of all around the world, there's having red rivers and red stream, there's red from iron and whatnot. And there's another element or something in there too. It's iron and something else, but supposedly the primary things in the atmosphere of Nibiru are iron and this other element. So
the moon's turning red, the blood red moon, the biblical prophecy.
Yeah.
You know what they're calling it?
Huh?
It's rust and iron, right?
Right.
Let me tell you something. There's two things you need for rust and iron. One's oxygen,
pneumonia,
and the other one's basically water.
Water.
And either one of those are on the moon.
Mm-hmm, right. But they're in the atmosphere of Nibiru, probably. Possibly.
Yeah, it's not as close as the moon yet, or else we wouldn't even see the sky. We'd see nothing but a planet.
Just out of curiosity, just hypothetically, how many here are concerned about this occurrence happening?
I'm not, because
about being wiped out by planet, being wiped out by
The
planet.
destroyer, which is what it's called in Isaiah.
Yeah, Nibiru is also known as Satan's planet.
And Nemesis and various names, but yeah.
And they say that he's going to come back and haunt us.
They say what? What's that?
He's coming back to haunt us.
That's right. And what if like everything seems to be reversed in theology. When they say one thing, but then we find out it means another. What if the Messiah is the return of Satan?
Well, then that totally discounts and totally wipes away everything else that's to happen in Revelation.
Well, but there's two comings of the Messiah, two returns of the Messiah. One's the false Christ and one's Christ. The first one will be the false Christ. If you can look down and see,
what's that?
No tricks or no trickery. There was no trickery involved in that.
Because it's you. Okay, so this was just one of the first ones that I saw that caught my eye. I'll enlarge it if I can. Can you guys see that all right?
This mysterious creature was captured on a trail cam. Looks a lot like a wolf. Looking more closely, the front legs.
Oh shit, Dogman. Oh yeah. Think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing.
That's fake.
No, this mysterious creature was captured on a trail cam.
Yeah.
First, it looks a lot like.
So what do you think it is?
More closely.
I've seen that one before.
You think
I think it's modified.
That's what?
I think it's modified video or modified picture. It's interesting. You got the picture of the animal pretty defined, right?
Right.
But nothing else.
Right.
Which is part of the things. So yeah, at work we've had a thing where they're like, is this real or is this fake? And they show you these videos and they teach you to look for certain things to figure out.
Sorry, wait. Okay, there we go. I'm sorry, finish that. I apologize.
They teach you to look for certain things to figure out what's going on. Is it true? Is it faked? You're looking for things like
you know, just little things like shadows, etc.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some people have got a really good eye for stuff like that.
Right. And sometimes you can't tell at all.
That's why there's some excellent future filmmakers out there. I think.
Well, and it's AI modified. You can't tell.
Right. Right. So what we'll do on Monday, then we'll pick it up from where we leave off. This is one that I'm sure we've all at least probably seen as you like scrolling by. Trail cam captures that no one was supposed to see. Part 1 of 132.
What happens in the wild? Sometimes they're able to capture something totally unexpected, from strange animal
They're like,
interactions to mysterious
what was that for? Why'd you run? I was like, you didn't see that light? And they were all facing the other direction, but none of them saw a light at all. And
Wow.
I was like, you didn't see that light? And, no. What light? What light are you talking about? Like, that light literally was like a different than anything I've ever been able to explain since or before. You know?
Was it one solid light, or could you tell if it was like a bunch of different lights, like a row of them?
Like it took my vision, and like I don't know the cause of it. I didn't see nothing of like what caused it, and like afterwards,
Delete it. Processed foods and all those aspects really are not serving the body on an integral level on like blah, 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 blah.
Right, right.
And
I work is all I can say. Yay. Okay, so
King James wants to say something.
Yes, James.
Okay. Worked in the facility where they make all the flour and whatever you need for your restaurant, bakery, whatever. And that place was crawling with ants and roaches, crawling with.
Really?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they package all over the globe.
Yeah, they sell to everywhere here, all over. It's a main distributor of food.
Does it all at least get chopped up really, 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 really small that you can't see it?
It gets ground up fine where you don't know it's in there.
You're not gonna care.
You're not gonna But taste no, we do.
You're not going to be thinking about that when you open up that box of Jif raspberry muffin mix. Actually, I quit eating Jif brand or Jiffy brand, whatever it is. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Chris, why are you gonna ruin this for me?
Oh, okay. Then I won't tell you about. This was years ago, anyway. Probably before they got their standards in place.
Oh, right.
Nothing quite like opening up a box and having it be Charlotte's Web. Basically.
Can you hear me?
Hey, Dizzy,
Yes,
good to
hi.
see you.
Hey, yeah, good to see you, sir. Better late than never, right?
Yep.
Right.
And we're trugging right along. So let's keep this puppy up.
Yeah.
Pro tip real quick, guys. Ground coffee absolutely contains cockroach pieces. People that are allergic to cockroaches cannot use ground coffee. You have to get ground bean or the bean coffee and grind it yourself.
Anything you have to do yourself is always better for you.
Oh my gosh.
People are allergic
Oh
to
my gosh,
cockroaches.
gosh. Oh, people swallow, digest.
That's why I make my own peanut butter.
Ever found insect parts or hair in your food? If not, look closer. A new report from the FDA says hair in food and spices is more common than you think.
The FDA did a study. What they found was that 12% of all the imported spices are contaminated with either insect parts or rodent hairs. 7% had salmonella.
While that sounds bad on the surface, the FDA says it's not enough to make you sick and even has guidelines for acceptable levels in certain foods. Some of the more common foods on the list. And basically what we can extract is that macaroni has rodent hairs, peanut butter, insect fragments, and mushrooms, maggots. Of course, the amounts must fall below benchmarks set by the FDA, but the knowledge is still enough to make you a little queasy. The FDA says the best thing to do to ensure your safety is to wash and cook your foods thoroughly. For the Weather Channel, I'm Lauren Zima.
How do you wash peanut butter?
Yeah,
In your spit.
There's some stuff you can't wash, man.
You
make your own.
There's some stuff you can't wash.
No doubt. But those food groups, though, are the foods that they were talking about. Low income people.
You okay?
like exist on that stuff.
Yeah.
I do. You
No,
know, it's like-
that is the crime that we have created in society is those who really need nutrients and nutrition are given the low bucket, which is we're starving, we're not hydrating to the highest level possible due to the foods and the saturation of salts and things.
And we're aging at an accelerated rate.
And the cancers, like what we didn't have pre the low fat, our brain is a fatty substance, and we started doing low fat in the mid 80s.
Yeah.
And the onset of Alzheimer's, dementia, and other age-related things of deterioration.
They just think that we've been told that it doesn't exist. We've been told that they don't exist, that they never did. And it's like, then what? Yeah. I don't know. I think that it's, and I know that there's a lot of Bigfoot enthusiasts that find things like that extremely frustrating and disheartening because there's still so many people that just flat out won't believe it. You know,
Stormy brought up a good point last week about the UFO stuff or the empath stuff, right? Where we kind of, as we get older, we kind of get out of that open-mindedness, right? And so we're taught, oh, those, ghosts are fake, or, UFOs don't exist. Oh, Bigfoots don't exist. Well, who's to say they don't? Let's keep an open mind until you can disprove it. Gravity exists. I've never seen gravity, but I know it exists. You know what I mean?
Well, they're working on that, though.
Talk lately too of, I mean, there are so many theories, and a lot of them have some credibility, right? But the idea that Sasquatch are interdimensional beings,
right?
So they're popping in and out of our reality,
That makes so much more sense.
Them either, but I don't know. People, I hear the phrase "the veil is thin" a lot lately, and I think that means something different to a whole lot of different people. But for me, I feel like it's true. I'm seeing a whole lot of stuff, especially things like synchronicities, things that cannot be in coincidence. It's just too weird. I'm just noticing stuff,
right.
And I think that things sort of get like mushed together and the lines get blurred. If that makes any sense, we're going to see more and more of it.
That is fascinating that you say that, because you're right. You can feel it, and it would make sense that we would see it here. This is some of the oldest forests that we have left out here on the peninsula, right?
Oh yeah.
And anything, if there's a veil, and there is a civilization of Sasquatch, say, on the other side, right? And there are things here that they want to see. If this is, say, the end of time, people are sentimental. Creatures are sentimental. So coming to visit, coming to see, coming to check those things out. I mean, the tree of life, it's falling more and more. If there was another realm, wouldn't they come and see our beauty too? And wouldn't they be coming now as it's all dying and falling off? You would want to see those things. I would want to bring my children to see. I want to bring them now to the things that are dying. So when you say the veil is thin, I could see where they would be coming now more and more to see the things that are going away. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally.
That's brilliant perspective on that.
Oh my gosh, I was going to say that's one of the most amazing perspectives that I've heard on that. Thanks, DJ. That's awesome, and that's true. Because as you're telling us about that, but you do. You want to go visit the things that aren't going to be around forever.
Precisely.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you're right. These are some of the oldest forests, and there's something really, really sacred about them.
Yeah.
I grew up. Okay, Lawdawg, you were talking about that one sighting out near Little Rock, right? That's where I grew up, was in Little Rock. I went to Little Rock Elementary. I lived off Delphi and 110th, well, 101st, but way out there, right?
Okay, and I know where, yeah.
Yeah, and growing up, especially that close to Mima Mounds and stuff, we heard all the stories about the giants and what the mounds could be and this and that. And those were, you know, I heard the noises in the woods. And I mean, I can't give you an exact example, but, you know, like I noticed tonight, I'm out in Lacey now, but I noticed tonight there was some creepy sounds coming from outside. And I'm not that rural.
Really?
I mean, I'm in a townhouse. There's a lot of people around, and right next to the train station. Like, I'm not doxing myself. I try
From
to
what
figure
direction?
it out. But,
From what direction? Because
It's hard
I'm
for
in your
me
neck
to
of the woods
tell.
right now.
It's hard for see. I'm not that directional. I want to say west, northwest.
But I mean, like
of
down
me.
the tracks, kind of thing.
Yeah,
Or
like towards town, down the tracks. But there's a
okay,
whole lot of like, well, I mean, like if you go any farther than that, then you start to run into like Jablam land and stuff, right? Or red zone stuff, right? So there's just a whole lot of like wilderness. It is not developed out there.
Oh yeah.
well, especially
And I've heard the coyotes a whole lot more lately.
But you can tell a coyote though.
Yeah, definitely.
Even on some of their worst days. What's that?
The coyotes are high pitched and they're yippy.
Yeah.
And
even
they're
if
in a pack
little-
and there's multiple. Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, that's why some of these vocalizations that you'll see or hear on like different reels and clips and stuff, it's like it doesn't sound like any animal that you would see in like a book about animals. You know, it totally discounts cougars, mountain lions, bobcats, foxes, all of them. You know, and they all have really distinct. They've got really distinct vocalizations and noises that they all make, and what you're hearing on a lot of these videos isn't any of those. Dizzy, what is your take on? I mean, I know that we've gone over Sasquatch before when you've been on the show, but what is your take on some of this?
Oh well, I like others were saying here, like that I there is like a huge influx like of activity, and that like I can feel it myself. I can feel like it's just like the veil is lifting, and it seems like, I mean, each and every day that passing, there's like more and more sightings and more like video footage and whatnot. I mean, I've never seen so much like trail cam footage in my life,
Oh my
as opposed to what we're coming across today. And like, sure, you've got to discredit some of the fake stuff, but the real stuff that's on there is like, it's, you can tell that there's something to it. And, and here in Washington, like the Indian lore goes deep. It goes like, to like the Siakas and what all these forest spirits and that they have. And
we
stuff,
do this podcast. You know where I'm going.
We
do this podcast called Hook, Line, and Thinker, and actually both of these guys have been on. In fact, they've both been regulars for different amounts of time. Duckie in the past and Fury currently. And what it is, it's a podcast about fringe topics. And so that's everything from like government cover-ups to GMOs to depopulation, you name it.
UFOs,
Right.
cryptids, just the weird stuff.
So, Mr. Anton,
Sorry.
no, that's fine. Mr. Anton, I would like to know, has there ever been a time in your life when you've been, whether it be traveling, touring, whatever, or just hanging out in your own backyard, have you ever like looked out there or ever seen something that you can't quite explain?
I have a crazy story about an encounter that Dawn and I had.
Really?
And I cannot explain this. I can't explain it. And it was wild because she and I, this was when we were we were in the Houston area. And we had gone and done a rehearsal. It was probably a Sunday. This was probably about maybe 6-7 years ago.
Okay.
And we're driving back home from the rehearsal. And in Texas, the weather's pretty wild. I mean, anytime I would fly out of Houston, I would say 50% of the time there's going to be a thunderstorm. That's just the way it is there.
Right.
And we were driving back from this rehearsal one day, and we had some weather come in that was pretty intense, pretty heavy thunderstorms and rain, and which is typical. But we got to noticing that this was a lot of wind involved.
Okay.
And we're about maybe really close to home, within 5 miles of our apartment at the time. And we started looking up above us, and we saw this, like the only way I could describe it is like a funnel cloud above us, though. It wasn't touching the ground.
Okay.
But within this cloud, there were about, I want to say 5 lights rotating, but they were doing it in a way that was not, it made me really curious about it, because it didn't look like a natural event. It didn't look like lightning or ball lightning or anything like that. It looked like very
like coordinated.
Coordinated. And it made me think at the time, is this some Texas, because I'm like I told you, I'm from California, and I was thinking, is this some sort of like Texas warning system? No, that's not it. So she starts like praying, because that's how intense it was. And these lights up in the sky rotating. We tried to get video of it, and we were just really blown away, because it doesn't make any sense. And I've tried to look up phenomenon that might types of phenomena that might explain what this was.
Right.
I couldn't find anything comparable to what this was. And what made it even more, like, kind of solidified it in our minds that it was something supernatural was, we get back to our apartment complex, we park, and there's a guy out there with a phone, and he goes, "Did you guys see that? The aliens are landing." So this guy obviously was thinking along the same lines we were, that this was something,
wow,
you know, yeah. And we still talk about it because we don't know what it was.
Wow.
And well, you got to come on the show and tell that story.
Well,
and
I'm kind of a
that is
skeptic
a
about
great
it.
story.
I'm very much not the kind of person who would be looking for this kind of thing or expecting it to be
or exaggerating
explained.
or.
Yeah.
Well, then let me ask Christopher. So, what were your ideas in when here within the last couple of months, all of the drone and orb activity going on back in New Jersey and on the East Coast?
Yeah, I don't.
And the West Coast.
I think it's some sort of government psyop, honestly. I think it's somebody's messing with us, is what I think.
That's what I kind of feel the same way.
I think we have to convince you to come on the show. That's what I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're welcome anytime. Anytime you want to show up and tell that story and give us your opinions and your thoughts. It's all just for fun. I'm sure we're on some list somewhere. I'm sure I'm said some stupid stuff myself. But it's all just for fun. We're doing a field trip. What is it?
Better wake up and understand that there are people
FM.
life and you don't even know it. And all American citizens, I think, outside.
Me again?
Hello.
Okay. Hey, this is Oz from the Hook, Line, and Thinker podcast here on X Vibe Radio. Keep it right here.
Yeah. Rock and roll.